Hi, I'm Kelli.
And I'm Danni, and welcome to the ProCreatives Podcast for moms who
make things.
There we go.
And this is a podcast for moms who are navigating their creative careers as they raise their little inspiration. So we're here to encourage you, inspire you, and give you a community of folks who are creating, but also trying to be great moms on the journey.
Yes. We see you and we are you. So we're here to help you navigate through some of those tough times. And even the things that you have yet to experience, we're here to give you a roadmap. Okay.
I know that's right. So, but who are we? I'm sure you're like, who are these ladies? These brown ladies.
Beautiful. Just beautiful. Fabulous, melanated beauties. Well,
yes. Who are we? So I'm Kelli. I am a multi-passionate creative. I'm a mom of 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. And they're all under 12. The youngest is 5. The oldest, well, the 5-year-old, he actually acts like he's a preteen, but that's another story for another day. And then I have a 12-year-old. And then in between the mix, we've got our middles, which we still show them love, even though they're middle kids. You know how that thing goes. But yeah, I am a writer, producer, actor, all around creative. And ultimately, if I could classify myself, because I know we get asked this question all the time, like, who are you and what do you do? And for me, because I navigate so many different things, I'm like, well, I love all of these things. How do I classify it as one thing? And if I could, which I will right now, I would say I'm a storyteller. Yeah, I show up in the world as a storyteller, and whether that is helping someone like bring an idea to life, whether that's teaching my kids a lesson about how they should show up in the world. Listen, ultimately, I'm a storyteller, and that's a large part of who I am and how I show up in the world. And I love actually hearing stories of other people. And so I'm excited for the future of this podcast, because we are going to be bringing in guests and we'll get to hear their stories, which I absolutely love. So who are you, Danni? Let me hear.
Well, before I jump into that, I really wanted to touch on like the storytelling aspect, because like storytellers are so important, right? Like we've had, when, you know, certain ancestors, you hear stories about your ancestors through storytelling, right? And it's such an important part, and it helps us feel grounded, helps us feel seen, helps us feel connected. So, you know, that's a big job, and it's a great job, right? So we need more. That's why we need more of the people to tell the stories, okay? And make sure that, you know, we're growing and we're learning from the past, right? Okay, yeah. So about me, going from this definition, I think I would define myself as an innovator, right? A dreamer and a doer. Because, oh man, I can dream. Right? And I got to thank my mom for that. She definitely grounded us with that. Growing up in Trinidad, we had times when the lights would go out, not because we didn't pay our bills, just life happened. Okay. Back then it was like 30 years ago. I don't know. But lights would go out periodically, and we would sit, candlelight, and just dream big. And we've seen a lot of those dreams come to fruition. Listen, Disney World was one of those dreams. So I've passed that on to my children. We dream, we create, we make sure we get it done. I want it. So we go after it. We get it. We figure out ways how to get it. So yeah, I'm a mom of 2, and still, yes, just like Kelli, doing all the things. Did I say I'm Danni? Okay, I'm Danni.
And just so you know, like, we're actually friends in real life. We've been friends for
13 years.
Okay, great.
There you go.
I was like, wait a minute. Let me try to get this math going.
Yeah. I think it's 13. Yeah, 13.
I want to say you're right. I want to say you're right. I believe in you. I believe in you 100% on this.
So we knew each other. Like I knew her husband when we went to school together. And when they got married, we knew each other from church as well. And I was like, okay, she's cool. And I remember her husband saying, you guys should be friends. You guys would be good. And my husband saying, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And we weren't married just yet. My husband and I wasn't married yet, but he was like, yeah, you guys act just alike. That's why y'all should be friends. and then I know Kellianne was like, there ain't nobody gonna tell me who like me, right? Is that what you said?
I went through, the crazy thing is that I went through this period of like just being very closed off. I wasn't vulnerable. So I didn't really know like I don't know how to explain this. I wasn't really a vulnerable person and like an open person. So it was really hard for me to make friends, especially friends that were women, which is a conversation for another day.
Let me stop. I'm a woman.
Conversation for another day. I've literally had to like grow out of that mindset.
Yes, it took some time.
But for sure, that was a large part of it. But yeah, we knew each other before either of us had kids.
Right.
And so to see that transition from, okay, single, well, technically you weren't single. Neither of us were single.
Yeah, technically.
But to go from just being coupled and not having any kids and being able to go wherever we want.
Just be like, hey, you want to go here? You want to go here? What time? Yeah, to basically having to check in, okay, who's going to be home with the children when I'm out of here?
Correct. So that transition has just been, it's been fun because we've also been able to journey together on that and be able to see like, okay, we have a partner in this motherhood and creativity thing.
Yes.
That's been a blessing. But how do we feel at this present moment? Balancing motherhood and our creative pursuit. So like the balance between the two, being that we've come from like knowing each other, not having kids and now having kids. How is that balancing all of those things now?
Well, I don't even know if balance is the word. It's more of a juggle. Because, at one time, there'll be one thing in my hand that's getting all my attention and something else is up in the air. Still, I have it in the motion of things that I want to do, but it's not the number one thing, right? Not the thing that's in my face. So, you know what? I feel like I was still trying to figure out what type of creative I was. So I knew I always liked art. I liked reading. I liked writing and creative. I liked drawing. I just didn't know. And I liked, baking and the cooking, always creating something. But I really didn't know like what type of, I didn't think I was a type of artist or creative. I just thought, well, I just like to do these creative things. Right. So before I had children, I was doodling and doing all those things and then realizing how much tapping into those things have allowed me to like, I guess, reconcile a part of myself. I was like, oh, so look how this is working for me. Look what it is doing for me, how it's filling me up. So it's not just a hobby. It's not a side thing, or it's not just something I do. It's a part of me because it just never left.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm really just understanding that some days it's not going to be as easy. Like I've been, we make our New Year's resolutions like, oh, this year I'm going to do this. I said, okay, I'm going to try to draw at least once a day. So, making time for that and kind of committing to that, I got to tell you, it has not been always successful. But, I think I've been, even if I just did a doodle, I'm giving myself a chance and, the space to do that because, I have to make room for it because I want it to grow. I don't want it to sit stagnant. So that's really what it is. It's a juggle. And I'm doing the best I can with what I
got. Okay, Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey energy.
There you go.
And I love that you said like it's a juggle. And I would even take it a step further and say like it's a flow. Because I imagine like a river, right? There are parts of the river that rush really hard. And then there's parts of the river that are like smooth and chill.
Oh yeah.
And then there's some parts of like whitewater rafting.
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it out.
Save my Lord.
But I do think that there's times and seasons where it's like, there's times where things are just going to be hectic. And especially like in the field that I'm in, sometimes I'm tied to a project and I'll be tied to that project for a couple weeks, couple months. Yeah. And for those months, it's like, it's going to be crazy. My schedule is going to be out of this world. And I have to I have conversations with the kids and like, okay, just so you know, it's going to be a little bit of a crazy season. But don't worry, at the end of this season, then we'll be able to make the time and we'll go on a family trip or, we'll take you guys wherever, just so they know that like, it's not about neglect. It's about, this is the time right now, but this is not how it's always going to be. And then the times where it's more chill, then it's like, Marvel movie marathon.
There you go. Yes, yes.
And we're eating, popcorn, and we're having game nights and all of those things. And even though I think it is still hard for them to wrap their mind around, because sometimes they're like, why do you have to go? Why do you? And I'm just like, but remember, because I'm going now, that means I can come back and we'll have all of this time to be able to be together. They're like, oh, okay. But they're still like, kids are always
don't get it.
They're like, more, all of you.
Right. All of you every second. Can I have some more? Can I have some more? Just a little bit more. Like, even when I'm trying to draw every day, it's like, okay, it's drawing time. I said, okay, you have your own pad, right? And your colorings, and it's so actually just this morning I was fussing and I was like, who are using my colored pencils? And I'm like, I sound so crazy right now. But no, my colored pencils are for work and you need to use your stuff that you've broken and leave my things, please. And they have more than enough stuff, but it's very difficult for them to say, okay, for them to understand that they can't have this time right now. Right. Because they just, because we're lovely. We're wonderful. Like, who doesn't want to be around us?
Yeah.
But I think it's important for us to explain those things. I like how you said you speak to your children, you let them know what season's coming. Also, because it's going to impact them, but they also know it's not forever. And, it's basically helping them regulate as well. And if they have a need or if they feel like it's too much for them, they also have that freedom to come and discuss with you. Like, I need a little bit of you time. Right. Yeah. And, I feel like us setting a schedule or setting boundaries and saying, listen, this is my drawing time. This is meant for this. It's not being mean or not like pushing them away, but it's just teaching them that the importance of boundaries and to say, okay, well, this is for now. And it's okay to separate things, right? Everything doesn't have to be muddled together. It's okay to set things apart.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, really great. Setting the boundaries, which, listen, I keep saying a conversation for another day, but honestly, y'all, just know we're going to get into it. We're gonna have people talking to you guys. We're gonna have other people other than us letting you know like real applications of these things, talking about boundaries and talking about just mothering, just mothering, lifing, doing all the things, because part of the reason why I feel like this podcast needs to be out in the world is because I think that as moms, it's hard to find folks that understand the journey. And especially in the field that I'm in, which is entertainment, there are not, honestly, not a lot of moms in the entertainment industry on a high level, right? And the ones that I've spoken to have said they felt like they needed to make that choice. They wanted to be successful. So they put off relationships and they put off motherhood. And it's unfortunate because guys don't really they don't have that decision that they have to make. They don't have to decide that at all. No. Nope. So I just want for other creatives, people who want relationships and who want families, like to know that, it's hard. Nothing about this is easy,
but work is hard. Work is work, right?
Listen,
okay then.
Exactly. Nothing about it's easy. Like it's hard. Right. It's hard to balance your spouse and your children and your creativity and your career pursuits. Like all of these things, it's just added layers to what makes us human. And this podcast, like I said, we're trying to dig in deep so that we're all encouraged, we're all inspired, and we're all feeling like, okay, I could do this another day. If she can make it, I can make it too. Okay, we can do this thing.
See, and that statement right there. So like, I'll tell you guys, like, I remember looking up to Kelli because she had, I believe, 3 children at the time. She had 4, the fourth one. And she had wonderful Seth. And she was taking him on set and to rehearsals. And I remember looking at her and being like, because at the time I modeled before and I put it on the background. I was like, I have my daughter and like, who's going to watch her? And I think when you become a parent, a mother, you become really like hyper vigilant and you're very particular about who your kids. I was particular about what my kids were going to be with. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So, I was nervous. I was anxious, all those things, which we'll also talk about. And I remember seeing it and saying, you know what, look, she's taking her children along. And I was inspired to like, okay, come on now, you got one. At the time, I was like, I have one. I can do this. And I started, taking like steps out. I got to be an extra on a TV show. I was like, okay, look at that. I was doing some modeling, some photo shoots. And, and the second one came along and I was like, okay, I can still do this. Because I was inspired by her. She said, and I don't know if she said it out loud, but from my perspective, it was like, yeah, I have all these things and these things that I can use as an excuse to stop, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna still be me because we're more than just one title. We're more than just a mother, or more than just a woman, right? You're a person with all these layers. And she was like, okay, I'm about to be all these things. It is that's what I saw.
Listen, and it's honestly, was it hard? And this is going back to yes, it's going to be a challenging because anything is going to be challenging because anything worth having also comes with a challenge.
Yes.
But for that show, so many emotions that come back to the doing of that show. So I'd done this production. I asked Dannielle to act in it. And of course, graciously, she was like, yes, I'm going to do it. I was like, yes. And I had just had my youngest child. And I do remember like breastfeeding him in the rehearsal.
Like, that baby had to eat.
He had to eat. But I didn't have a choice because my husband was also assisting in the production. So I had no other sitter really. But I also was important to us to have our children see our journey and know what's possible for them. Okay. I haven't done a production in quite some time, but I'm going to tackle it and I can do it because I had the support of my incredible husband, my incredible cast. But it was also important for us because we could have dropped them off somewhere and, but we wanted them to also see the work. Yeah. And they were able to be a part of the show. And so they were able to see the benefits of like, wow, week after week, we put in the work and we got to see the final product. Yeah. And so to build resilience in them, to help them to see like the amount of work it takes to accomplish the things that you want. So it was a tool, even though it was challenging to us, it was a tool also for us to educate our kids about discipline and tenacity. And so, yeah, that was a time. They still sometimes bring up that show. I'm like,
wow. But they saw the fruits of your labor, basically, right? And that, sometimes it's not as instant, but for them to be able to see it after that space of time, I think that really made made an impact. And it was wonderful. Like your kids did not seem bothered. Okay.
They really weren't. They really weren't. They were honestly, are honestly really great kids.
Well, they come from great parents.
Oh, come on now. Thank you. Listen, God is good out here in these streets.
Yes, he is all the time.
The lessons we've had to learn on the way, because we're going to talk about this one too. Both of us being children of immigrants, right? You're Trinidadian, mine being Jamaican. Like there's a lot of things that were so good.
Yes.
And then there's some things that were just like, don't know if I want to do that with my kids.
Yeah. We went
I went through it. So they don't have to.
So case in point for that, we'll get into it in detail, but we're whoopings, right? Like getting a beating. This generation is like, why? They're asking the questions. I remember toddler, like, don't hurt me. Like, what? You said don't hurt? Oh my gosh, I don't want to hurt you. I snatched her. Like I just was trying to grab her you hurt me, girl. You just learned how to say something. And then now but there's the cognition level, right? And then and we also saying, okay, that was what they did during that time. And they did it to protect us. And they did what they thought was best and not knocking them, we came out wonderful, but understand that times have changed and we can have these conversations now. And there's different ways for us to correct them. Right. I listen, I gotta take away a toy. Is, a certain special thing. I'm like, okay, you get. And I think, just, it's a different generation and it's a different world. And I hate to sound like that, but it really truly is. And we're not gonna do things the same way. Because we're learning and growing, right?
Yeah. Facts. We're learning and growing. And I love that you said, like, basically our parents were doing the best that they could with the information and the resources that they had at the time.
Yes.
Yes. So there's no knocking, because I'm grateful. That parenting kept me out of trouble. And I'm not in the jail cell. None of my siblings are locked up and won't let me out. You know what I mean? Like, it's a blessing for sure. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that. But those are conversations, just giving you little teasers about things that we're going to talk about that we think are critical and are really important overall as parents on our journey. So what are our individual goals about this season? Navigating our creative careers, navigating motherhood, like this year, what are you trying to get into, or what are you trying to get out of?
Right. Well, that one's deep right there. Well, my day job is not fully creative at the moment. I am a teacher. I do have aspects where I get the opportunity to be creative, but it's really not a full-time creative job. So my goal really this year is, I have 2 books sitting in my mind, and I've been honing my drawing skills. And because I think that was I know that's what made me pause. After I wrote my first children's book, I was like, okay, I did it. And it was simple, but now the other books need more detail. So what I did before, not going to work this time. So I've been working on that. I also, I was like, okay, I can have somebody do it for me. And I did get someone, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't executed the way that I wanted. So I think it's just me getting down pen to paper and getting it done. So I have those 2 books in mind. That's my creative goal for this year, to get those things done. And to, keep working on ProCreatives Podcast. We're trying to blow up, yo.
I love that. And Dannielle is an author. She's an author, but she's also an illustrator. Yes. And she's been making, I think all my kids have gotten handcrafted cards, t-shirts, encouraging posters. And she also has 2, is it the 2 books? Am I speaking another one?
I'm working. I have 2 that I got in my mind that need to come out.
Gotcha.
You go home. She gonna hold me accountable, y'all.
I definitely will.
She helped me with that labor and delivery of the first book, because honestly, we started during the pandemic and we had all the time in the world, and then to go back into the working force, and then having to be like, okay, you still got to get this done. Like, when you gonna get it in? When you gonna get it done? I think we need our accountability partners. So I know you got me. I'm gonna try not to make you work so hard. But I know I got her in my corner. But yeah, tell us your goals. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well. This year, honestly, last year I had a lot of reflection that I had to do. I was supposed to actually go to out of state for a production, and I ended up getting told. Well, prior to that, God was like, do not leave town. And I was like, you must be out here. And he's like, no, don't go. So I ended up not going. And I ended up actually getting COVID. So I couldn't even go. And if flights had been booked or anything like that, it would have been a waste, because I basically had COVID at the same time the production was happening. And during that time, I was going through it.
Yeah, of course.
I was going through it, COVID for the second time. And I just was doing a lot of reflection. I think even prior to then, just doing a lot of reflection on the past year. And, I'm grateful my birthday's at the end of the year, because that always helps center me, like, and give me focus. Like, okay, who are you this year? Like, what is this year given to you? And what have you taken from this year? And what do you need to leave behind going into the next year? And so for me, I think that I really thought about this idea of chasing the wind. And I know that sounds really crazy, but that's the words that kept coming to my mind at the end of last year. Like, you've been chasing the wind. You've been running after opportunities that were not for you. You've been exhausting yourself with things that are not a part of God's design for you. Okay. We're faith-filled up in this piece.
Right.
But I was like, 2023, I don't want to have that energy. I really want to be purposeful in what I'm doing.
Right.
And that means saying no.
Yes.
Listen, one of the things that I've learned, and I'm trying to pull that tightly into this year, is just because someone says yes to me doesn't mean I have to say yes to them.
Oh, say that again for those who forgot to hear. Go ahead, say it again.
Just because someone says yes to me doesn't mean that I have to say yes to them, because
facts on facts.
And the example that I have is this. It's funny because I thought about that idea, and then I saw a video of Letitia Wright from Black Panther talking about this. And I was like, oh, okay, this is confirmation. She said, there's a lot of things that come through my inbox, and a lot of them I just say no. Yeah. It's like, yes, they want you. I want you to be a part of this project. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. It's like, yes, you may want me.
Yeah.
But is there alignment here?
That's it. So that's very, very important. Like we can say, just because we can, and I say that, this is what I usually say to myself, just because I can doesn't mean I need to do. Right? Just because we can don't mean we need to do. Like, why are we running behind things that doesn't work for us, right? And in line with, and I think a lot of times as creatives, because we want the job, right? And we've heard all these stories about people saying, I did jobs I didn't even want to do. And, and they found good in it, but that's their story, right? And I believe that it doesn't matter where you are in your career, you can still be intentional, right? You can still be, you could still say no. It's okay. You might feel bad because you might say, oh man, I missed out on the opportunity, but you don't have to take everything. Right. So I really think that's a good word. Like, we need to make sure we stay true to ourselves. That's really what it is. Underlying all it's staying true to yourself. So yeah, I definitely love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's where my mind is right now. Because after last year, the intent comes from putting my family first.
Yes.
Because last year was rough. Your girl was not rolling like she used to be. But you're on the grind, you're trying to go after every opportunity. You don't want to miss a chance that could potentially be for you. Yes. And it's like, I could feel disconnects happening within my family. And I was like, well, first of all, God was like, sis, have a seat. Okay. But being a parent, like, that is my first. Okay, of course I have a husband, like him too, but we're responsible for these little lives. And for me to be like, throw you on the back burner, I got to go after these goals. I don't want to be successful. And then my kids hate me. They don't know me. I don't know them. That, to me, that's not, I don't want to pay that price.
Right.
There's time you can't get back.
Right. So that's the other thing. So like, I guess that's one of the arguments that people have. If being a creative, you have to make and being a parent, you have to make sacrifices, right? You have to make choices. And I think sometimes people think they regret, certain things, say, well, I should have taken that chance. And, but I think ultimately we'll see benefits in the long run. And also during this day and age, you can create your own opportunities, right?
Yeah.
You can create your own channel. Look at Issa Rae. Come on now. Case in point, Kevin on stage. Okay. Yeah. I hope he win his NAACP.
Yeah, he's been grinding hard.
Yes, listen, he's been hustling.
He's been hustling.
Him for sure. Like, because he has been creating movies, he's been doing a lot of things on his own. Even his stand-up that he's been, hosting with different comedians. Like, you create the spaces, because he even did a testimony. He was like, listen, I've been doing this thing. I've been going to auditions, and you wouldn't look at him and think so. You would think, oh, people want him, right? But he said he's been going to, and he was getting no's. So he had to create a platform, and he has opened doors for many people. So, I think we also have to make sure our perspective of success is not necessarily somebody else's plan of success, right? like your success may not look traditional, right? Like some people, they blow up, or some people they work, they do this and do that, and then they get there. Your path is completely different.
Yep.
And how you measure success is really, it's yours. It's your own. It's not based on everybody else's. So, listen, we got to count our blessings. Right?
That's right. And I'm so glad you said that, because that's the important lesson that I also got from last year, which was your path is your path. It's not going to look like anybody else's.
No.
It's not going to look
with kids or without kids.
With kids or without kids.
Because people talk about being so lonely and also all this stuff when they don't have a family. So, it's hard on both sides. You just have to pick which hard. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on now. And, listen, the grass is not always greener, and we may think, because I thought this too, like, man, it would be so much easier if, and this is honest statement. Like, we're not going to be here. Come on. We're not going to be here like patty caking around. No, like
everything's great.
That. Yeah. I thought that. Man, if I didn't have then it would be, fill in the blanks. And it's there are other people who are like, actually, I want a family. I actually want what you have. I'm like, I want to be able to go here, there, and everywhere without having to find a sitter that no sitter is available. And, but this is my life, and I'm actually quite happy. I'm blessed.
Yes.
I'm grateful. And
come on now,
contentment has to be a strong force to combat those feelings. But listen, we could go. What did Beyonce say? We could be all night. Well,
that's right.
I don't know if that's appropriate. Does that fit?
It's okay. We could.
we can go on talking about these things because they're important. It's our path. It's our journey. And to be clear, this podcast is not just for moms, right? It's for moms, but there are also people who want to be moms, who want to be parents, and who are not sure if they can manage it all. And it's possible. But like anything else, it's not easy.
It's not. And we know you guys are going to get a front row seat to all our, to all of our business, right? Our highs and our lows, right? I'm still out here doing auditions, trying to get these modeling jobs. And I'm like, this the one. And then I don't hear from nobody. And then they say, here's something else for the audition. I'm like, oh, what happened to that last one? They didn't take you. Oh, okay. But moving on.
The worst is when you see. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the worst is when you audition for something and then you see it later on, and you're like,
I know. You're like, I wanted to do that.
I was supposed to be in that.
That was supposed to be for
me. Why didn't they cast me in that? I was supposed to be in that commercial. Okay.
But guess what? When I'm going to be in it, I'm going to be in. I'm going at it hard. I'm, honing my craft. And when the time is right, listen, I always say, I think that mothers and people in their 30s are the right people for all these parts, because guess what? We have our head on our shoulders. Okay. We know we have a commanding presence, right? We know how to work as a team, right? We can work with kids well and pet and sometimes pets. Listen, we are the demographic that you guys want. So casting directors,
come on now.
Dannielle Let me stop. Go ahead.
Follow Dannielle on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, MySpace.
At Dannielle.com. Okay, just hit me up.
Dannielle, please don't try to follow her on Twitter, because that is not out there.
No, only Instagram. You're on Instagram. Yeah, you can follow her Instagram and the website.
But we're so thrilled to be able to do this. It's definitely been quite some time. Like, it's been something that we've thought about for a while. And just having conversations with each other and other moms. And it's like the village, right? The village people. I don't know. I can't escape. I cannot escape all these musical references. I really can't.
It's okay. It's who we are.
Yes, it's true. It's true. That's who we are. But the village, right? And we're hoping that we can be a sort of village for other moms that are out there. Hey, it's not easy. And we've said that a gazillion times, but it is actually rewarding and fun. Like,
yes, it is. And it makes the highs even like higher. Like last year I worked with my family. We got to do a commercial together, and it was so nice not to have to worry about where are my kids and if they ate and who's watching. You don't have to worry about that because they're right in front of me. My husband's right, everybody's right here, and they're safe. So there is, there's highlights to, working with the family and having them see your work as well. So listen, we're here for you guys. We have so much to talk about. We have so many guests, so many cool guests. You don't want to miss out on anything that we have to offer. It's going to be great.
Yes. That's all for now, folks. Catch us weekly wherever you listen to your podcast. If you have a question or a comment, send us an email at the ProCreatives Podcast at gmail.com. Thank you all.
Thank you. Laters.